If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Communication Breakthrough. My name is Todd Wall, and here we believe that intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for, both in your business and in your life. Look, we all get in those situations in whatever role we're in, where it's just week after week after week after week, and the world just starts to get gray. We get stuck in a rut, and we just don't feel the life and the excitement that we once felt from the job that we're in, the role that we're in, the position that we're playing within the company. Things just get gray. That comes into the growth that you're pursuing. We're going to jump into how do we get out of the rut? How do we turn the gray back colorful again so you can feel the excitement and passion back in your life? Stick with us. Let's do this together.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited to jump into this because this is a problem that we all have. We all get in this place in life where it just feels like we've just lost passion. We've lost our vision. We've lost our excitement for what we do and maybe the people that we're around. Who wants to live in that black and white world? We want to bring color back and that passion, that excitement back into our worlds, because that's the whole reason we do everything. So let's jump into how do we get out of that rut that just feels like just like sawdust in our mouth. How do we get out of the rut? My first guest today is Vicki Wright Hamilton, and she's a master at building personal strategy. And after her years and years in corporate America and leading both tech and integration and just all these massive corporate environments, this wealth of knowledge, she works with clients one-on-one in building their personal strategies. And what really made me bring her on, actually, let me go ahead and bring her on now. Vicki, since I've got you right here, I want to brag with you. One of the reasons, two reasons I really wanted to bring you on, you say two things that really grabbed my attention. One is you are your own CEO. And the other one is the art of the possible. The art of possible. Those are two magnificent phrases, and they're guiding principles within your consulting. So Vicki, here's the problem. We get in these ruts where we just don't feel like we're going anywhere. We lose purpose and vision. As you're leading people through their personal strategy, what would you say about how to get out of the rut?
Well, thanks so much for having me. But one of the things I think is really important, we've lost the time to dream. We have to dream. And dreaming means that we're able to see the art of the possible. We're able to think about what we could be doing, why we would be doing, what we would love to do, etc. But what happens is we get into that routine of, okay, I get up, I go to work, I do my job, I come home, I have those responsibilities, I get up to work and I do the same thing. And if we don't enjoy the things that we're doing at work and we're learning and growing and we're doing things differently, it's like, oh my gosh, do I have to get up out of bed today? Do I really have to do that? So one of the first things I do with my clients is I say, I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to forget about every single thing that you have responsibility for, just for a minute. And if you didn't have any of those responsibilities, I want you to write me a dream list. What would you like to be doing? You would be amazed at how people think about all these different things they want to do. And then they say to me, but I can't do this. I have this responsibility. I have that responsibility. So wait a minute. Can't is not in my vocabulary. We don't allow the word can't. We may have to do it differently. We may have to be a little creative, but can't is not in the vocabulary. So we start to look at the things that they have passion about, because what they're dreaming about is their passion. And that's what we've lost. And so when they lose that passion and we start to look at those items that they put down, we start to begin to think about, what kind of role could I do where I'm using that passion? What does that look like? And that's how we begin to understand, are we on the right path of trajectory or not?
I love this picture of beginning to open up this dream list, this possibility, but immediately you've noticed time and time again with your clients that immediately the objections come up of, oh, but this, and this. So the gateway is, first you said, is embracing there is no such thing as can't. How else do you help them let go of those negative objections so they can see forward? Because I feel like they really cloud your vision.
They really do. And what ends up happening is that when they do this list of dreaming and they start to see what's there and we start to dig deeper, it's not until the second or third session that we have where we absolutely talk about the things we have to overcome to get there. The first couple of sessions, I just want you to dream. I want us to talk. I want us to Be creative. I want us to think about, I want you to feel the energy and the passion from within yourself. Because once you do that and you feel it, it's like, oh my God, I don't want to let this feeling go. By the time we get to the third session, we say, okay, now reality sets in. You got a family, you got bills to pay, you have this, you have that. And I understand that. But we're going to start to train our mindset to think a little differently. Now, it may be taking small steps towards that passion of what you have. It may be that I'm going to do something a little different. For example, I've had clients that after we finished and they started talking about what they could and couldn't do, I asked them a question. Do you volunteer? They said yes. Are you volunteering doing any of these passions that you have? No. That is a possibility. Let's start there. Just give yourself permission for an hour to volunteer here, an hour to volunteer there, where you're utilizing these passions so you can start to fill your cup with energy so it's not lost.
And I hear the linking as well. Like you said, you asked, that was a very powerful question. Are you serving in these areas of this dream list? Are you serving these areas of passion? And they go, no. That's an important linking and a very intentional action to move forward in. I think that was a very, very powerful question in embracing this possibility and then beginning to bridge that connection. So how else do you help them embrace the art of the possible?
So then after they begin to start seeing small ways that they can move forward, and I said, I want you to take a calendar out. And we're going to put on a calendar every week what we're going to do to fill our cup. Which one thing are you going to do to fill your cup? What is it that's just going to make you that just says, I look forward to doing this. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to do it. Can't wait to do it. So that you're filling that cup. Because what happens is once our minds begin to see that satisfaction and you're able to feel good. And then I'm living my passion. I'm doing the things that I want to do. What ends up happening is it does begin to mind shift. And then we begin to talk about transition. Is it that you're really in the wrong job, in the wrong role? Is it that you really should be pursuing a different kind of opportunity? Should we be making that link to make a transition, and what would that transition look like? Not that you're going to up and quit your job right now, not that you're going to stop doing right now, but you're going to have a plan. We're going to build a strategic roadmap to help you get there so that you know I'm working towards my North Star of the art of the possible, of where I want to be happy, where I want to go, and the things I want to do. Because the other factor that plays in this is, where am I in my age trajectory of my journey? How does that relate to where I want to be and what I want to do?
That is very interesting. Now, I want to hear more about the North Star. How do you help them really clarify and identify that guiding light, that North Star, that key direction?
One of the things I think that you find is when you do this dream list and you start to look at pieces, you start to connect dots. And they begin to build that North Star for themselves. I like to do this, like do this, like do this. You know what? What I ultimately want to do is that. That's where I'm going. I'm going to do this one thing, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. And that's why building vision boards are important. You create a vision board of pictures, words, actions, things you want to do, and you use it as your guide. If what I'm doing today does not support my vision board, I don't need to be doing it. I need to do something today that supports that vision of where I want to go. So they actually define that North Star for themselves because they need to own it. It's their art of the possible. It's where they want to go, and it's what they want to do. So helping people to walk through that process, that journey of really getting there, they define that North Star.
So by seeing it out in front of them, you're doing the exercise to actually visualize, write it out. They start seeing patterns and then connecting the dots. And they really, it sounds like it really jumps out. Certain ones are like, oh, that's written in bold, and I didn't even realize it. That one is highlighted, and I didn't even have a highlighter in my hand. And okay, I like that. I really, really like that. It begins to, it's that intentional movement of getting out of the rut is really just opening up. It's like all these kids that have their phones in front of them and they don't see the world around them. My son just started driving. He's 16 and he's like, I don't know how to get anywhere. Yeah, because your face has been in your phone. You've been lost in the moment. So this you're giving this possible as a picture of, hey, I'm beginning to look outside the windows again and see what is possible. I absolutely love that, Vicky. So I'd like you to stick around for one more segment because I'd really like to dive in a little bit more on you are your own CEO because we can get nice things on the board, the vision board, and we can craft beautiful phrases and direction, but there's an intentional action of movement because if we're stuck in a rut, there's got to be a jolt of some sort. So if you'll stick with me, I want to come right back after the break and let's jump into you are your own CEO. How do we take control? All right, everybody, stick with us. Let's take control of this. Let's get out of the rut. Hey, just a few commercials. We'll be right back.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
All right, everybody, thank you for sticking around. I can't wait to hear more about what Vicky has to say because this idea of the art of possible and, you know, just getting the dream in front of you and seeing it really maps out and you can see the direction you need to go. But the problem is you're still stuck in that rut. You're still stuck not necessarily in the job. It may not mean changing jobs, but you just feel stuck. You're not connected to the passion enough that it creates movement, change, and action. So I want to bring Vicky back on. Vicky, so this phrase, you are your own CEO. Now, there's more to that phrase that you always talk about, and I want you to get into that, but that really, it communicates to me that taking control, because if you're the CEO of your business, you're the CEO of your life. Isn't that one of the ways you kind of put that?
Absolutely. So you are your own CEO. I think all of our lives, we are taught that, you know, we go in and we do for others, we work for others, etc. But if you take a moment, you're your own CEO because you are in control of everything you do. You have the decision and the power of choice. The choice is yours. Now, when you think about it, everything that a business does in thinking about their business, you actually do yourself. We just do it a little bit differently. So let's think about it. When a business has to have finances and they have to have money to run the business, and they have to understand what they're doing, guess what? You have a budget. You're the one who has to decide how much money is coming in, what's going out, what you spend it on, what you don't spend it on. When businesses are thinking about how they're going to operate and what they're going to do and what they're going to accept, what they're not going to accept, you do the same thing. What am I going to tolerate? What am I not going to tolerate? How am I going to operate? What kind of friends do I want to be around? What does that look like for me? You make those decisions. When a business begins to think about the people who work for them and their talent, let's think about the kind of employees we want, the people that we want to work for us, the things that we want to do. You do the same thing. But you do it in terms of thinking about who am I going to patronize in a business? Who's going to cut my hair? Who's going to do the lawn? Who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to babysit my kids? Those are all your employees. They're counting on your money in order to pay their bills. So when things get tight and you have to cut, you cut just like a business does.
So,
And
so, it, so in this idea of getting out of the rut, sorry for interrupting you, the idea of getting out of the rut is the first step identifying who's speaking into our life and kind of who's creating the rut. Is it the people essentially that are creating the rut?
Exactly. It's everything in your environment.
Yeah.
So, it's people, it's things, it's the kinds of things you're responsible for. What does your work day look like? Are you happy with that? Do you have to get up too early? Do you have to stay up too late? It's all of those components that you have to look at as you're defining what you want to do and what that means for you.
So as I'm evaluating those environmental things in order to take control, what's the question I need to ask? You said a minute ago, I'm not going to tolerate. Is it these things aren't what's not serving me? What's a question that they can ask themselves that can help them edit out or add to what they need?
And this is going to sound a little funny, but you have a personal culture. Just like a company has a culture. You have to define what that culture is for you. My culture is I don't like to be around negative people. If you have a problem and you're willing to invest in yourself to help and you want to solve it, I'm right there for you. Be your best cheerleader and be right there. But if you're just a naysayer and no matter what happens, all you can see is the cup half empty and you don't want to change, you don't want to learn, you don't want to grow, you don't want to develop, I can't change you. Just like I can't motivate you. I can only provide a motivating environment around you. So everybody defines their own culture. So when you sit down and think about your culture, you think about what you're willing to do and what you aren't. All of that is the elements of your environment, not only from friends, family too. Places you want to go, events you want to go to, things you want to support. All of that is defined by you and no one else. And no one can make those decisions for you. It's about you. So I truly believe that the question you have to ask yourself is, what kind of culture do I want to live in? What does that look like for me? What makes me happy? What is it that I enjoy? What is it that I want to continue to do moving forward?
Though that is a powerful question because a lot of that is taking control, being honest about what's having that negative effect on you, what's having the positive effect. And just, I like how you give it a context by saying that personal culture and also giving the authority handing back the authority. Hey, you're in control of your life. You got the keys. The keys are right here. They're yours. No one took them from you. Who took those keys and that steering wheel from you? It's yours. You own it. I love that picture. How else can they grab control so that they can get out of the rut?
So let me say this. You must be honest with yourself. Honesty is the only way to get through this. Trying to hide the truth, not telling somebody, okay, you don't want to tell anybody how you're feeling your dirty laundry, but you need to tell yourself. If it bothers you, you need to be able to deal with it. You need to be able to talk to yourself about what's wrong with it, what you don't like, what's working, what's not working. Honesty and truth and understanding how you are authentically you. Because that honesty and truth is how you show being authentic. And if you're going to be authentic and want people to accept you for who you really are, you need to be you. So it's really important that you sit down and you're honest with yourself. Whether you tell anybody else or not, you know the truth because you know yourself better than anybody else.
Is this also an exercise that you want to write it down? Or, because we can have that negative self-talk that can also just lie to us and just want to beat us down. So how do I get the truth? How do I really get the truth out?
Writing down is a key. One of the things that we need to always remember, when we take from our head and we write it down, we release it. When you write it down, you release it. So that's why when you write down something positive, you release that positive on that piece of paper and you're reading it. When you write down on that piece of paper those negative thoughts, I will not do this. I am not going to feel this way. I'm not going to say this to myself. You release it. And then being able to do those affirmations to yourself that says, this is what I'm going to do, and own it. This is what I'm going to be. This is me. I don't have to apologize to anybody for this. This is who I am. This is authentically me and what I'm going to do.
Okay. You also just now said something very tactical, these affirmations. So it's getting it out of and clarifying who you want to be, who you don't want to be. But then are you saying you want to get it in a way that you're repeating it to yourself on a continual basis?
Yes. So I believe that affirmations are extremely important. And people do affirmations in many, many different ways. You have to do what works for you. But when you affirm to yourself, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to stop till I get there. It's that affirmation that says every day I'm getting up to do this. Every day I'm going towards this goal. It's you affirming to you because that's who you're accountable to, yourself. You are accountable to yourself. Nobody can make you happy. Nobody can motivate you. You have to provide that motivation from within, and you have to decide, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy for me, not for you. It's kind of like losing weight. I'm not going to lose weight for you. I'm losing weight for me. Mm-hmm. Because when you try to do it for somebody else and things break, you end up gaining it all right back because you didn't do it for the right reasons. But when you say, I'm doing this for me, I don't care what you think. I'm doing this because I need to do this for my health, for me, and this is what I need to do, then you're going to own it and it's going to be yours. So we need to make sure that, yes, we write it down. Yes, we look at it, but then we affirm to ourselves. And this is going to sound crazy. I tell my clients, get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and say, today will be a good day. And the one thing I'm going to do positive for myself today is one of those things, whatever it may be. Whatever that one positive thing is that you're going to affirm to yourself that day, don't stop. Because the more that you practice, the more that you believe it, not only does it become a habit, but you affirm it to yourself that it is true, that it will be. You manifest what will be for you. So it's all about our mindset, our environment, and how we cultivate that personal experience for ourselves.
And I think as encouragement for people to do this, I do the same exercise with my clients as well. And I think you can affirm the same thing when they see it written down, that phrase, that direction. It's like they go, oh. And that relaxation. I've had some people that just start crying once they actually see it on paper. giving them permission to let go of the chains, let go of what's holding them back. I love your picture of what's written down is released. And so,
Yes.
Vicki, thank you so much for this time. Can't wait to have you on another show and just bringing this inside of you are your own CEO. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Right after this, we've got Brad Ball, and we're going to talk about the creative mindset that can also begin to draw you out of the rut, or even just bring color into it. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now. Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
All right, everybody, don't give up. Don't give up. You may be in a place with your business, your life. You're like, I've lost all the meaning. I've lost the purpose. I feel like I'm just stuck in a rut and I can't get out. But that's what we want to talk about. The more intentional we are with addressing that problem and that issue, the more intentionally you can actually get out of it. So my first guest today, I'm bringing on an expert in creativity. He's written a book, The Art of the Entrepreneur. So he knows exactly what we're going through, but we want to bring in the perspective. How do we balance creativity with this mundane in the rut mentality? And how can those two combine and bring us out and bring more meaning back to our lives? Brad, we really need you. Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. So let's bring some creativity to this process, because we're speaking to the person. They feel like they're in a rut, whether they own the business, whether they're a manager in the business, whether they're just serving in a role, but they just feel stuck. They feel in a rut. They've lost their sense of meaning, the sense of purpose. So how can creativity and this artistic mindset help bring us out of that? Is it a matter of just like when we were kids, when you're drawing that painting or that piece of art, you knew it was for grandma, therefore you stayed in the lines more, or you used extra color? Is that the first element of this?
I mean, I think it's just really tapping into who we are and who we're created to be. I think every human being is inherently creative, and we tend to forget that. Once we got stuck into our education system, the creativity and the artistic part of us kind of got suppressed. But it's there for everybody. And the more you can tap into that, I believe the more fulfillment you're going to get, because that's just a part of who we are as human beings. And throughout history, art has been a major aspect of culture and where people are and where they're going. And that's, I think, one reason why you got things like movies that are so popular and things like music. I mean, music is the biggest artistic industry probably in the world. And it's because, music moves you, and it can also, some music can actually depress you, but that's the idea behind creativity and, being artistic. But if you're stuck in a rut, the bigger question is why. Do you know why you're in a rut? A lot of times we may know, we just don't want to ask for help. And so I think that's the first key, is being able to step back and look at your situation and try to assess it, and then being okay to ask for help. And that's what most entrepreneurs, they don't want to be vulnerable because they have to have it all together.
Is this assessing it? Is this like the principle in your book, the exponential thinking that helps you think beyond the rut? Or is this where this principle comes in?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. It's finding that different perspective on things of, really what's going on, because a lot of times it's something, little. And when we look at our employees, if their home life is in order, their work life is going to be in order. That, if it's in disarray, typically their work's in disarray. So a part of our culture as a company is to really encourage people to, spend time with their families, be creative, do things outside of work that brings them joy and fulfillment. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times it's like, oh, we got to be on at all times. We got to be ready to work, whether that's 60, 80, 90 hours a week. And me and my business partner we decided early on that we were not going to sacrifice our family for money. We could have made a lot more money over the last 20 years if we wanted to dedicate 60 to 100 hours a week, but we weren't going to sacrifice our families. And I have 16-year-old twins now and a 12-year-old that, 16-year-olds graduate in a year. I mean, I only got really realistically a couple of years before they're off to college. And that goes by in a flash. So I think most people and most business owners would agree they don't want to sacrifice that time over money.
So it's remembering who all this work is for. Mm-hmm. Just like the grandma in the photo, the first element is, why am I doing this? Who is this actually going to impact? What am I actually trying to get at? Like you said, it's ultimately so you can have more time with your family. But what are you ultimately trying to get at? Now, in the book, you also talk about the principle of the reinforcing the foundation. How does that how does that play into us getting out of the rut?
I think a lot of times you go into a rut because you build this organization and you don't really know what to do with it. Or it's gotten so top heavy, you've got all these people and there's all these problems that are happening and you don't know how to fix them. And so the idea of reinforcing the foundation is to kind of get back to the basics, because you need to have the width of the foundation to withstand the weight of what's above it. And so the artistic comparison is, there's a sculpture by Michelangelo called David, and it's a marble piece, and marble's fragile. You think, oh, it's a stone, it's not easily going to break, but that's not true. If you look at all old sculptures, they may have arms broken off and things like that. But if you look at the sculpture, the right side of the foot has this massive tree stump on it. And the thing is, he was smart enough to know that all the weight was going to be in this portion of the sculpture. So he created this tree stump to withstand that weight for longevity. And so as business owners, sometimes we don't realize that there's so much weight on this one piece, and we need to be able to reinforce that before it crumbles. And a practical example of this is, at one point, as we grew as a creative agency, that there was a point with our account managers where we had everything funneling through one person. It was a bottleneck. And at some point that was going to burst and it was going to create major issues. I was able to step back and see and have the foresight as a creative person to identify that and then make adjustments to make sure we were able to withstand that pressure and not explode.
So if I'm trying to get out of the rut, I'm trying to find more meaning in it, this principle of reinforcing the foundation, does that give me a greater sense of purpose within the mundane tasks of, I've got to do this and this by this time every day, I've got a schedule? Gives a greater, the creativity of stepping back and seeing the greater purpose or the purpose behind analyzing where the bottlenecks may be, or the fissures, the cracks?
I think it definitely does that, but I think it also gives us peace to some extent, because we've built the structure to withstand the weight. You built a team that doesn't rely upon you to do the work. Because as entrepreneurs, I'll have this phrase: if you are the business, you don't have a business. If you are the business, you don't own a business, the business owns you. And the idea behind that is, if you're the one doing the work every day, you don't really have a business. You got to develop that outside of yourself. And that's where I think people get stuck in the rut, is they're so busy doing the work themselves. They haven't developed teams, or they haven't led teams to where they can delegate those things. And a lot of times you take things on that aren't your strength because you're the business owner, and that doesn't do you any good. You need to develop a team of A players that are smarter than you. And as a creative person, you got to be able to identify who those people are. And if you're just looking at analytics and data and you can't identify those traits that you need to take off of you so you can get out of the rut and be fulfilled, then you need to find those people to bring alongside of you that can complement you to get you to that point.
So in creatively reinforcing the foundation, essentially, I'm able to bring more peace. If I bring more peace, then I can look around and I may see something that's going to give me more life and feed back into me. So that reinforcing and strengthening is really bringing more security to your situation.
Yeah, I would say that let's talk about three things that I think, if a business owner is in a rut, what they need to do. Number one, ask the question, why are you in a rut? Number two, what's your purpose, or where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get out of the rut? Number three, ask for help.
And that's the exponential thinking, right?
Number four, take the first step. If you don't take a step to move forward, you're going to stay in the same place. And there's a friend of mine, his name is Mark Anthony, so I'll give him credit for this. He used to tell me about the phrase pivot. You hear it in business all the time. You got to pivot, or we need to pivot and do this. He absolutely hates the phrase. So now I hate the phrase. Why should we not be using pivot? Well, if you think about a pivot in basketball, all you're doing, you got one foot on the ground, and all you're doing is turning, looking different angles. You're not doing anything. His thought is you've got three things you can do. You can either dribble, you can pass, or you can shoot. One of those things. But that way you're moving and you're not staying still. So water that doesn't move becomes stagnant. And if you're in a rut and you're not moving, you become stagnant.
I hate the word pivot from this day forward. Thus saith. If I'm stuck in a rut, it's because I'm stuck. Therefore, don't anchor your foot to the ground exactly where it's at. So what can you do that creates movement, who creates action and momentum? That is absolutely brilliant, because as an artist, if you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you've just got a dot and you didn't create art. You didn't move. You didn't create. You just created a period.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're stuck in the rut, you feel like you're in a period.
And a lot of people get stuck in the rut and they do the same things and they get stuck and they never get out. And so I think that's where those 4 steps could be key. But I'll highlight the biggest one, maybe asking for help. You know, it's somebody reaching out to pull you out, because you can't do it alone. And I think that's the key of having coaches or mentors or being in mastermind groups and being vulnerable to the issues that you have to deal with. Because as entrepreneurs or as management, we all deal with difficult situations. We have to make difficult choices. And that doesn't make us bad people, But at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for the business as a leader. If you don't do that, your people are going to see it, and they're going to know what's going on. So you as a leader, when you make difficult decisions and you do it the right way, your employees will see that and value it and moving forward.
I love that. Brad, thank you for being on. The fear of, no, excuse me, not the fear, the art of the entrepreneur. That's the complete opposite. The art of the entrepreneur coming out this summer, and you can actually find it on bradball.com. Brad, thank you for opening up our eyes to this. I will never pivot again. Thank you so much, Brad.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys, don't pivot. Actually, in this situation, I do want you to anchor. I want you to stay till after the commercial break, because we need to talk about the question, why? Let's get out of the rut by finding more meaning, purpose, and why. Stick with us.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. You know, we all get in the situation with our job, within our career, within our family, within roles, within our relationships, where things just get gray. They get mundane. We feel like we're just stuck in a rut, and we just don't feel the life and the joy that we really dream of and we really desire. And so you're not the only one. Everybody gets in that situation. So let's hear from other people who've been there, because we've all been there. And let's talk through some different ways of getting out of the rut. Sean Barnes, I love having you on the show. So, Sean, we're in this situation. We've all been there where you just get in this cycle of week in, week out, week in, week out. And even the weekends they lose their excitement. And you're just, it's Monday already. Oh, how do I get here? Sean, how do I bring the excitement and joy back to the mundane? How do I bring the black and white color again?
Well, man, as you were talking through that, I couldn't help but just flash and think through, if nothing changes, nothing is going to change. So if you recognize that you were in this place where you were just grinding through life, or maybe you've just become comfortable and complacent and you're not growing at all, acknowledging where you are at is the first step. The next step is going to be figuring out where you want to go. So if you want a promotion, if you want to branch out and start a business or do some new hobby, identify where you're at, identify where you want to go, and then start building skills to help you get there. And just taking the time to invest in yourself and learn new skills, whether you hire a coach, whether you go look at shows like this or start consuming podcasts or go to YouTube and learn, take the time to invest in yourself. And this is something that I've seen some people struggle with, but just block time on your calendar, 30 minutes a day, focused on learning new skills. And think about it, if you extrapolate that out over a year, how much knowledge you will have attained over a year, half an hour a day. That's all it takes. But you have to acknowledge where you're at and then be intentional about where you want to go, and then block off time and just make it happen. But it will feel like a grind at times, just trying to learn. But at least you're grinding in a positive direction as opposed to just coasting through life.
So do you think the first aspect of understanding or why we're in that mundane is the fact that we're not growing? We're in a place where we're good at what we do. It becomes rote memory. It's just, I can do this in my sleep, as some people would say. So the next gear to bring color back into it is, where can I grow in identifying? So is there a process to identifying where I need to grow, or do you think that part comes naturally?
I don't think that part comes naturally. And look, we've all been at points in our life where we get comfortable, where we just wrap up in our little blanket and we think, oh man, it is so nice. I finally made that 6-figure salary. I'm just going to relax a little bit here and enjoy. And you can, right? But at some point, you're going to get a little bit tired of it. You're going to want more. And the thing that we have to understand is life isn't about achieving a milestone. It's about the journey to getting to that point. And once you understand that it is about the journey, it is about learning, it is about growing, your entire perspective shifts and your entire outlook on life shifts. But you have to figure out where you want to go and then work backwards from there and figure out, what skills do I need to learn? Look, I'm just going to say college is boring, right? You don't have to go to college. Again, you can find podcasts, you can go to YouTube, you can hire a coach. One of the biggest misses that I'm not going to say I regret, but one of my biggest misses in life is spending the first few decades of my career thinking that I didn't need a coach, that I didn't need a mentor, that I would just figure it out on my own. Now, that was all ego talking and being cheap, but ultimately it was my ego talking. And over the past few years, even though I coach executives now, I have my own coach. And what I have recognized is spending money on a coach is investing in yourself, is investing in your future. And the craziest thing is, when you start investing in yourself, it pays dividends on the back end on all aspects of life, not just from a monetary perspective, but your quality of life, the people that you get to surround yourself with. When you start leveling up, everyone around you starts to level up as well.
You know, and this may really sound really nerdy. In fact, as I'm even saying it in my mind, it sounds extremely nerdy. But one of the things you were talking about, of knowing where you're going, you have an intention of what you're aiming at. This is nerdy, but I went to Star Wars for a minute and I was thinking about Luke Skywalker in the Death Star, and they go down in the trench and they're going through and they're being chased. You're all being chased by the Bills, and you're being chased by expectations of the family. They're being chased by, by Darth Vader, but they were looking for something. That's what caused them to not fight or flight and run away, but to stay in the pursuit of what that target was. And so how does a person find that pursuit? How do they find that target that can bring purpose to the trench?
Look, we have more distractions in society and life than at any other point in history. This little device here is a double-edged sword. One, it's great in that it grants us access to almost the entirety of human knowledge. But two, it is a major distraction in life. And there's a lot of companies that make ridiculous amounts of money by distracting you by putting stuff on this little device, scrolling social media, the death scroll that occurs. And so I think what's important is figuring out how to eliminate distractions in our life. And when you eliminate all of those ridiculous and unnecessary distractions, an interesting thing starts to occur. You start to see an increase in resolution of your mission and purpose and what you can accomplish and what you want to accomplish. So that's the biggest thing that I can share, is just eliminate those distractions, because they can be comforting, they can be fun, but they're taking you away from something greater and something that you could then be better at.
I've heard some people call those distractions like little vampires that are just, they're out to suck your blood. I don't know if this is helpful, but I wrote in, so I have a personal playbook that I intentionally, this is what I'm pursuing, this is what I'm seeking out. One of the things that I've written down as an intention is, and this sounds like a dietary thing, but to not eat, to not settle for artificial sugar, but to eat what is real. I don't know if you scroll your phone. You may not, but I found myself a lot of times right before bed, I'll scroll the phone. I'll get stuck in this wheel of social media. And then when I put my phone down, my head is tired. It's like my brain is going a million miles an hour. And it's like I'm dizzy almost, because all these little vampires are just sucking on my brain. I think that what you're laying out is extremely valuable. As you pull away the artificial, you're then going to see what is real and what you really want to pursue. So what's something else that help a person get out of the rut and bring purpose and direction back to the mundane?
Well, you touched on something, and as you were talking through the death scroll at night before bed, that's a habit that you have built and developed over time. An unfortunate and distracting and probably not great for you habit. But once we can acknowledge this is a habit, you have to break that habit. There is a phenomenal book called The Power of Habit that I would highly recommend. If you have not read it, go read that book. And it talks about, from an evolutionary stance, why we are wired to create these habits, because it requires less cognitive effort to get into a routine. And our mind operates from the sense of energy conservation. And if we can build a habit of brushing our teeth every day, and we build these habits, some are good for us, like hygiene, others not so much. But you have to identify, is this a healthy habit or is this a destructive habit? If you identify that it is a destructive habit, you have to figure out how to break that habit from your life. And that is not an easy task to do. Admittedly, something that I still struggle with to this day, is structured and disciplined as I am. You think about social media, right? You have $1 trillion market cap AI pointed right at the stem of our brain that knows exactly how to engage us and lock us into the platform. So you are fighting that whenever it comes to breaking these habits. And the biggest thing that I've learned is to look inward and think, am I going to let this computer that's generating dollars off of me win?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I love that. So I think it's taking the intentional step to analyze what's pulling away from, what's draining you so that you feel mundane, what's pulling the life out of you, or where, like you said, how is the computer winning? So just like the movie Terminator, how is it taking over our world? Sean, thank you so much for the insight. This was extremely helpful, especially taking me back to my childhood with Star Wars. I really appreciate it, because I want to kill the Death Star, and I've got to find purpose in order to do it. So Sean Barnes, The Way of the Wolf. Thank you so much for the time, Sean.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, everybody, stick with us. Let's destroy the Death Star together. Let's get out of the rut and find some purpose. Stick with us.
This has been a NowMedia Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.